Welcome in to this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Lockett, here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we are going to take a look into the future. Back to the future. As we will be giving you our projections for the Seahawks starting lineup week one as they take on the San Francisco 49ers. And I got to tell you, there are a few interesting surprises that we will get to coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, folks, we got a challenge from Chase Sr. in the 49ers report. Chase doesn't think we can get to 1,000 comments on today's video, folks. He was talking his smack, saying that the 12s are fake fans, that they're fair weather fans, they don't care about this time of year. And I said, Chase, you're wrong. We are going to show up and show out. So let's get 1,000 S's in the comments. If we make that happen, whoever spams it the most, you will get a shout-out on a future edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Spam S, and we'll get started with today's show. So here is what I'm going to do, folks. I am going to take what I believe the starting lineup will be for Seattle week one, and we are going to go into account with everything of players that could be potentially moved on, others that could be passed up on the depth chart, and all of that. So keep that in mind. I will say one stipulation before we go any further. I am not putting players on the starting lineup that are not on the roster right now. So you're not going to see a Trey Hendrickson on this starting lineup projection. All right? As much as we would like to have Trey, he's not a member of the Seahawks, at least right now anyway. So without further ado, let's get started. Your starting quarterback will be Sam Darnold. I know there are some people out there that want to see Jalen Milroe. And I like what Milroe's done, but he still has a ways to go before we're talking about him potentially being a starting quarterback in this league. Sam Darnold will lead the field when the Seahawks get in action week one against San Francisco. The starting running back, I think, is going to be Zach Charbonnet. And I have a couple of reasons why that I'll explain further here in just a moment. The fullback position, we're going to go with Robbie Ouzts over Brady Russell. Both guys competing for the starting fullback spot. Brady Russell has been a borderline practice squad type player, hasn't really done a whole lot. He's learning a new position. Robbie Ouzts, this is what he was brought in exactly to do, was to play the fullback spot. I find it unlikely that you're going to want to cut a player you drafted either. I think Ouzts is in the driver's seat to be that starting fullback. Now let's talk about Zach Charbonnet for a moment. Some of you right away are going to be saying, what happened to Kenneth Walker here? Well, I have a couple of reasons. All right, hear me out on this before you cut my throat or something. The first reason is that if Seattle is going to move on from any running back, K9's the most likely because he only has one more year remaining on his current contract, and it seems highly unlikely that he will get a long-term deal. So just by that, if somebody's going to get moved, Charbonnet is more likely to be here. Reason number two of why we're going Charbonnet over Kenneth Walker. Charbonnet looked fantastic at the end of last season. And his numbers were even better towards the end of the year than what Kenneth Walker's were. And I think he can do more things than Kenneth Walker can in the offense when you talk about his pass-catching ability and all of that. And then the injuries. Kenneth Walker's banged up right now. And he's continued to have an injury problem. Who's to say he's going to get through the preseason healthy? I think Zach's the odds-on favorite and more than likely will be your starting running back when the season begins. What do you guys think? Who should be RB1? Kenneth Walker III or Zach Charbonnet? Type K9 for Kenneth Walker III. Type ZC for Zach Charbonnet. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in and let us know what you think. Cooper Kupp will be a starting receiver. He comes over from the Los Angeles Rams. Excited to see what he potentially does. And another element I like about Cooper Kupp is his blocking ability, kind of like Hines Ward was for the Pittsburgh Steelers for many years. He'll be a huge asset. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, of course, he is your, without a doubt, wide receiver one in this offense. Coming off a Pro Bowl campaign last year, I expect him, as he embraces that wide receiver role, that wide receiver one role, to see his production jump up even further. The best is still yet to come with JSN. Now at the tight end spot. This is where things get interesting. Would I like to see Elijah Arroyo here? Yeah, I would. What do I think of A.J. Barner? I think A.J. Barner is a solid number 2 tight end. I don't think he's a 1. But based on how this offseason has gone, here we are. It's July now. Seattle's had plenty of chances to say goodbye to Noah Fant, whether it be trading him or cutting him and unloading that salary. And there have been no indications that they are looking to move Noah Fant at this point. Could it still happen? It could, but there's no momentum, at least, for that direction. I think as of right now, and all of this could still change, of course, I think they're keeping Noah Fant for now, that they want to make sure that Sam Darnold has a safety blanket at that tight end spot with multiple options. We saw how well Sam Darnold played with T.J. Hockenson last year in Minnesota. I think that they, for now, let Noah Fant play this year out and then let him go next year in free agency. Let's start at the left tackle position with Charles Cross. Charles Cross, I thought, had a really good season in 2024, and now I expect him to take another step forward. He was picked top 10 for a reason, folks. I don't think there's any reason why Charles Cross cannot be a Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber left tackle in this league. They've already picked up his fifth-year option. The belief is there. Charles has made it known he wants to be here for a long time. I think that Charles Cross is going to show up and show out and have a very impressive year. He was about the only silver lining for this offensive line for the most part last season. Can't wait to see what he does in 2025. Zabel will be your starting left guard. We'll talk about the right guard position in just a moment. But everything that we've heard when it comes to this offensive guard situation is that Gray is without a doubt your starting left guard. The competition is about the right guard spot. And with Zabel as a rookie, there will be growing pains. It will not be perfect immediately. And he's still learning a new position. He played tackle in college. But I'm very optimistic that Zabel is going to be a significant upgrade from what we've seen with Laken Tomlinson and kind of the revolving door at that position in the past. Then we go to the center position, and that's where we find Olu Olutimi entering his third season from the University of Michigan. And I know that there's been a competition in the offseason program between him and Jalen Sundle, and Jalen has gotten some first-team reps. But I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised that this is even being called a competition. I get it that competition makes people better. Iron sharpens iron. But I was impressed enough with what Olu did in the second half of the season that I didn't think that he necessarily needed to be challenged, but they felt otherwise, barring something catastrophic. I think Olu's still going to be your starter there at center. The right guard position, I'll go with Anthony Bradford. He's a year older than Christian Haynes. Christian Haynes was as low as third on the depth chart, getting passed up by Satoa Lumea at one point last year, who was drafted behind him. I don't care who wins this job, to be honest. Let the best man win when it comes to the right guard spot. But Anthony Bradford looked pretty good in the offseason program. He's a little bit slimmer than he was before. He dropped some pounds. I think he'll be in good shape. And then the right tackle spot, we'll go with Abraham Lucas to hold down that, of course. Abe, when he's healthy, he's pretty solid. The key for him is going to be just staying healthy. The right guard spot is uncertain. I think that if you're a Seattle fan, you have to be feeling a lot better about the offensive line situation entering 2025, but you won't feel completely good about it until we get an answer at the right guard spot, until we know what we know and somebody's playing at a high level. And I'll be honest, I don't know if anyone is ever going to play at a high level this year at that right guard spot. You play your numbers. You hope one of them is going to work, but only time will tell. We'll see. Who would you like to see be Seattle's starting right guard? Anthony Bradford or Christian Haynes? Type AB for Anthony Bradford. Type CH for Christian Haynes. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know which one you would choose from. Folks, I want to make sure you're subscribed to Seattle Seahawks Today as we bring you our daily news and rumors, sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day. We also have live shows 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're doing our Madden Sims, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more. The most interactive Seahawks channel on YouTube is Seattle Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free. Never miss a moment. Let's get at least 20 subs off today's video. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball now. Leonard Williams holding things down at the defensive end spot. I think he's the most underrated defensive player in football. Can't wait to see what he does. He was a terrific addition a couple of years ago at the trade deadline. Byron Murphy is back for year number 2, the former first-round pick out of Texas. And then you got Jarran Reed at the defensive tackle spot. And Jarran Reed has been a great presence for this team, not only with his production, but also as a leader within the locker room. He's been a guy that the young players have been able to turn to and been a really good sounding board. I got to tell you, watch out for Byron Murphy. I know these statistics weren't anything earth-shattering for Byron Murphy, in all honesty, last year. If you were a stats junkie and just looking at those numbers, you would say to yourself, well, Byron Murphy was just another guy. But I think what showed his value was when he was out last year and they had to turn things over to Jonathan Hankins. And there was a significant drop-off. So entering year 2, remember he had Mike McDonald on his ass all last season. Even when he arrived, Mike Mack was all over him. A year in the system, playing in the National Football League, getting into shape. That was another thing Mike Mack was on his ass about, was that he was out of shape. Just getting acclimated, I think that there's going to be a big step up for Byron Murphy. You're going to see that this year. All right, let's go to the outside linebackers now. DeMarcus Lawrence comes to town from the Dallas Cowboys. It's about health for me with DeMarcus Lawrence. If he stays healthy, he's going to be extremely productive, but that's a big if. He only played 4 games last year. Tyrese Knight at the linebacker spot. He was, if you look back at the 2024 draft, one of the best value picks of any team out there. You got to be feeling really good about yourselves that you found a starting caliber linebacker in round 4. And most people thought they reached to get Tyrese Knight when they did, and he played pretty well. Can't wait to see what he does. And then you go with Ernest Jones, who you bring back on a new contract. You traded for him at the trade deadline. He took this defense to a whole nother level when he joined this roster last year. And he had that offseason knee surgery. He's been dealing with that banged-up knee the last couple of years. I think that Ernest Jones, with a fully healthy knee, we're going to see some untapped potential. And then I'm going to go with Boye Mafe as your other starting outside linebacker. And I know that some people are going to say, what about Uchenna Nwosu? Well, when we go back to projecting this starting lineup of what's likely to happen, can I trust Uchenna to be healthy week 1? No. Sorry. Boye is more likely to get the start. And I like what Boye's done over the last few years. And he's a complete pass rusher. Mike McDonald has made it known in the past he's not looking for specialists. This is somebody that can rush the passer. He can defend the run. He can drop back in coverage. Even if they're both healthy, I like Boye more than I do Uchenna Nwosu, quite frankly. I think Uchenna's fine. I'm glad he's back, and he's on a cheaper contract. But Boye, I think, is the better player. I expect him to start week 1. Who do you expect to start week 1? Boye Mafe, Uchenna Nwosu. Type BM for Boye Mafe. Type UN for Uchenna Nwosu. Weigh in the comment section and let us know. Got a great deal for Seahawks fans as Nike T-shirts are on sale now for $15.99 while supplies last. It's getting hot outside. You need T-shirts. You're looking for Nike gear. Not very often we're talking about cheap Nike gear, folks. And you want to rep your favorite team. Well, it's all right here, folks. $15.99, all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Chatsports.com/SeahawksT to get yours today. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Chatsports.com/SeahawksT to get yours now. Next, we find Devin Witherspoon at the corner position. He'll play the nickelback spot. I'm very high on Devin Witherspoon. I think everybody is, coming off another Pro Bowl campaign. He continues to get better and better. He's more vocal. Devin Witherspoon's going to do some special things. Rick Woolen as well at the outside corner spot. We're going to see also on the field Shaq Griffin, but we're doing this based off of a 2-corner lineup. Okay, so that's why he's not technically included, but you get the idea. Rick Woolen entering a make-or-break year for him, a contract year, trying to prove his worth, and I'm excited about Rick Woolen. A little bit nervous, too. We'll see. Kobe Bryant at the free safety spot. Kobe did a really good job when he took over for Rayshawn Jenkins in the second half of last year. Kobe, let's see him continue to build upon what he did last year. And then Julian Love. He has been the steady Eddie He has not missed a game since he's been with the Seattle Seahawks. He's been to a Pro Bowl since he's been here. Julian Love, I think every team in the NFL could use a player like Julian Love. And don't forget about Nick Emanwari as well, who Seattle drafted in the second round out of South Carolina. Although he might technically not be a starter per se, he will get the snap count of a starter, and he'll be a rover of sorts. In college, he played safety, nickelback, outside corner, outside linebacker, inside linebacker. They're going to play him everywhere. And Mike McDonald's talked about that we're going to play him where we need him to play, that we're going to find a spot for him based on how things stack up. The special teams unit, Jason Myers at the kicker spot. Mike Dixon's got a new contract. He's the highest paid punter in football. Chris Stoll is back as your long snapper. I think, folks, there's pressure on Harbaugh, the special teams coordinator, because special teams took a significant fall off last year. And you look at the personnel, you say you got a solid kicker in Jason Myers. You got a really good punter in Mike Dixon. There's just no excuse. They cannot have special teams be a detriment to this team and hold them back. We saw it in the Giants game. We saw them fail a number of times. There's no excuses. Harbaugh's got to figure it out. Grade the Seahawks starting lineup for me. A, B, C, D, or F. What do you think of this group entering 2025? Check in that comment section and let us know how you feel. To wrap up, the return specialist, Kenny McIntosh, going to be your kick and punt return main guy. I expect Steven Sims to make the roster. I have him over Jake Bobo because of his special teams ability compared to Bobo. And then Torrey Horton, who they brought in, the rookie from Colorado State. I think that he'll be involved in punt return duties as well. Watch out for Steven Sims. I've been following this guy for a long time since he was at the University of Kansas. I think he's got some real talent, and he's going to be a good fit. Thanks for watching today's show. If you made it to the end of today's video, that means you are a real member of the 12s. Spam 12 in the comment section. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.